has been entering our solar system. This thing has been uh, entering or coming, in different epochs and times. This is multiple times. Okay, so in ancient mystery traditions, we could say that. But before I tell you guys a little bit more about this phenomena that is actually, circulating on every podcast, everything on the internet. This is like the hottest topic with different angles, different perspectives, from negative, alien, fake, invasion, to positive, of course, and everything in between. To the point where even NASA is now talking about it. And in fact, NASA is already warning digital truthers to not mention anything else about it, but it's okay. I just wanted to throw that out there, okay? In the ancient mystery traditions, the prophecy often spoke about um, things not in written records, but things to be shown in the sky, such as celestial messengers um, coming from the heavens, right? Timed with cosmic precision to signal the turning of ages, the dawn of a new era. So, there's also a connection between the other interstellar objects, such as the Oumuamua, that was here in 2017, and of course Borisov, that was here in 2019, and Nibiru. Okay, so it's all interconnected. Again, we're going to go deep today, guys. So these are known altogether as the cosmic envoys, and that is Three Eye Atlas, Borsov, and Kwamamua. That's a hard one. Kwamamua. Thank you, Kamuamua. And they're all connected to Nibiru. Okay, they're all connected to Nibiru. So let's start by talking about the Kamuamua, which of Kamuamua, which again came in 2017. It was known as 1-2017 UI. And then Borsov came um, in 2019, and it was known as Q4. And then, of course, we have 31 Atlas that just came in about a few weeks ago. And all of these three interstellar objects are actually interstellar envoys, each arriving with a purpose, right? And mystery, of course. But to the material scientists, right, to those that are not aware of the cosmic connection, there are actually rare anomalies, right? To the metaphysical initiate, right, they are cosmic markers, fulfilling a divine or galactic orchestration, preparing Earth and humanity for the approaching passage of Nibiru. And again, I reiterate that this has happened in multiple cycles in different epochs in the past. So, of course, you all know of planet Nibiru, right? The brown dwarf star, planet of the X, known by different names according to the different tablets in the Bible. They reference to Nibiru as wormwood. All right, let's talk about the arrival in sequence, which is kind of like a cosmic countdown for the shift of the ages. And again, even the Bible talks about how you will see the signs in the heavens, right? The Bible also mentions that. So let's talk about the Kamuamua. 2017, discovered October in 2017, was the first known object to enter our solar system from interstellar space. And its name, of course, Hawaiian for a messenger from afar arriving first, is itself prophetic. And then, unlike any known asteroid or comet, Kamuamua exhibited non-gravitational acceleration without visible outgassing, and had a highly reflective, elongated, and possibly even flat shape, defying all expectations. So according to galactic intel, the Kamuamua function as a cosmic key, unlocking energetic pathways between our solar system and the higher galactic frequencies. It was the harbinger, the watcher signal that was sent to awaken the seers, the mystics, and light bearers of Earth to what is coming. And then Borsov, thank you, Borsov, 2019. 2 years later, of course, we hear about Borsov following the Kamuamua, and Borsov was more of a comet-like, displaying a traditional coma and tail, of course. However, its composition of unusually high carbon monoxide and its extreme speed and hyperbolic path confirmed it too came from beyond our solar system. Okay. So Borisov can be seen as the cleansing agent. That's what it represents, the cleansing agent, symbolizing the purification of energies, which always happens right before we go from a dark age, Kali Yuga, into a golden age again, right? It's the cycle of life. Um, and then also, it represents the burning of all illusions, right? Everything's coming to the surface, and the dissolution of dense patterns within humanity's collective consciousness. It brought with it the clearing fire, making way for the transformation ahead. And it wasn't a coincidence that right after 2019, due to what happened, if you guys recall, we had what? The beginning stages of what is now called the Great Awakening. So, fast forward in time, then came 3I Atlas, which is the third and most recent interstellar object. Well, though less dramatic in media headlines, Atlas revealed itself as an object rich in organic compounds, which with minor outgassing activity and a tumbling chaotic motion, almost as if shaken loose from its galactic origin by force or command. So it is intelligently programmed, you could say, or driven. Atlas represents integration. It carries the codes of star seed DNA, preparing the energetic grid of Earth for dimensional alignment. So its arrival correlates with a surge in spiritual awakenings, starseed activations, and the opening of collective memory regarding ancient galactic lineages. A lot of you have been asking me, when am I going to get my memories back if I volunteered, if I am one of the starseeds? When am I going to remember? Well, here it is. This is your opportunity, right? Okay, so the three keys to this cosmic gate, which I just mentioned, right? Viewed from a higher perspective, these three interstellar objects are not just isolated phenomena. They are the trifecta of cosmic emissaries, each corresponding to a phase of planetary preparation. So again, the Kumuamua represented awakening. Borisov represented purification. Atlas represents activation. They are encoded messengers arriving in perfect sequence, each triggering layers of cosmic remembrance, energetic recalibration, and collective destiny. And this is not coincidence, guys, all right? It is all orchestrated. In fact, like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, this is the first time that these interstellar objects have come in. They've come in different epochs, okay? Their combined presence creates a resonant field, a frequency lock, a galactic signal beacon altogether. But what are they really pointing to? The coming of Nibiru, right? The coming of Nibiru, which comes after the 31 Atlas, or 3I Atlas, which is also known as what? The hidden planet that is approaching, right? Many people are talking about seeing two suns. Well, one of them is a smaller sun that is also making its way into our solar system, and that's been happening for quite some time. Well, this is the hidden planet that approaches as well, okay? According to the ancient records, not just Sumerian, right? Because we don't want to trust the Sumerian tablets, as you guys know. Not only were they inverted and corrupted, but they were also translated by a cabal pawn by the name of Zachariah Sitchin. In either case, Nibiru is a massive celestial body with an elongated orbit, returning every several, 3,600 years, right, to the inner solar system. In spiritual prophecy, its approach is linked with it's linked with what is known as world upheaval. This is why people always ask me, is there going to be a lot of destruction when Nibiru passes by? And the answer to that is no, not this time, not when we go into the golden age, right? It's different. It happens, okay, destruction happens when we go into a dark age, or when we fall from a golden age, okay? This time is different, guys, okay? But yeah, according to records, it's been known that every time Nibiru approaches, there is massive geophysical upheavals worldwide, right? But ultimately, it represents spiritual rebirth, DNA activation, and the return of the celestials in human form. And I hate to say the word gods, right? Because there's only one God, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And I'm not just talking about extraterrestrials in human form, but I'm also talking about divine archetypes in human form. Divine archetypes. All right, many mystics and contactees and even timekeepers have all sensed that Nibiru's return is imminent. Every record talked about it. Again, in the Bible, it was known as the return of wormwood. But unlike the fear-based narratives that surround it, oh, it's going to whack us, it's going to destroy us, which is not true. The interstellar envoys suggest a more, you could say, a more swift evolutionary purpose. Okay, so the arrival of Oumuamua, Borisov, and Atlas marks the activation of a galactic protocol, which is really a countdown sequence preparing humanity for the energetic and physical influence of the return of Nibiru. Okay, this time it's going to be different. Again, it's not going to whack us. Yes, it's going to go through our solar system, but it's not going to create massive earthquakes and tsunamis. Okay, that's not going to be the case anymore. Again, that only happens when we drop from a golden age into the dark ages. Then there's planetary upheaval. So Nibiru is not simply, you could say, a planet that only exists in 3D space. It is actually a multidimensional planet or sphere existing partially out of phase with conventional perception. And its appearance signals not just astronomical alignment, but interdimensional convergence, right? We're about to, have this interdimensional convergence once again as we approach the culmination of all these cycles. And so that is the reason why all these interstellar objects are coming. The Earth is being prepared. It is a frequency shift as the veils between 3D and 5D begin to dissolve, right? So it's also indicating through the process of what we call ascension, right? Multidimensional integration, we reintegrate with our higher avatars, signaling the return of advanced celestials, archetypes, advanced spiritual beings, restoring higher divine councils whose influence last shaped earlier civilizations, of course, before they fell back into the dark age. And then, of course, it also means the DNA reactivation within star seeds and human hybrids that are, of course, going to be awakening to these latent capabilities. Excuse me. So the role of these three interstellar objects then is to tune to the planetary field, first and foremost. And these are the keys, guys, right? And Nibiru is the gate, the great cosmic threshold that marks the transition from the age of concealment, or the dark age, into the age of remembrance, which is the golden age. In essence, okay, the passage of Oumuamua, Borisov, and Atlas is part of a higher cosmic mission. You could say it is a multidimensional mission that is now unfolding on both physical and etheric levels. They are the envoys of cosmic will, arriving ahead of a long foretold planetary shift embodied by Nibiru. And so these interstellar messengers have aligned with precision, not just in the sky, but in prophecy. We read about this in every record, frequency, and of course, timing. So all of this indicates just that we are living in what is known as the Great Return, the restoration of heaven on earth. Nothing to do with the end of the world, right? But the beginning of a new world. And the gateways are opening, guys, right? The gateways are opening. Now, I also want to let you guys know, I'll give you a little history of both Nibiru and Three Eye Atlas, as again, it's not known as Three Eye Atlas to the galactics. It is known as something else, but this is a name that we applied to it. I'm going to give you guys a little galactic background, a little galactic history. But before I do, I want you guys to know that these galactic envoys that were actually sent by the Lyrans and Syrians, they are what you called guardian Anunnaki, or guardian, positive watchers. They were sent by them to herald the Earth's ascension. Okay. So we could say that these celestial travelers, right, the three envoys, interstellar objects, are not random, right? They are actually what is known as sentient emissaries. And they are coded with frequencies, by the way. They're also coded with ancient memories and divine protocols. And the one that I'm referring to right now, which is the hottest topic all over the media, Three Eye Atlas. Um, Believe it or not, guys, this artifact, or not artifact, but this living interstellar spacecraft was actually dispatched by the Lyran Syrian Alliance over 30,000 years ago. Okay. And now arriving precisely on time as Earth crosses a pivotal threshold in its ascension timeline. So, again, this has happened in the past before during previous epochs. All right. This is not the first time around that these interstellar objects, come into our solar system for those that are just tuning in. Um, and yes, to some extent, some people even refer to this as a living artifact because it is a bio-living craft. The craft is sentient, it's organic sentient. So the origin of Atlas, let me give you guys the galactic mission that was actually set into motion long ago. Long before you could say human civilization began here on this planet as we know it, the Lyrans and the Syrians, which are two of the most oldest and most advanced star nations in our local galactic sector, foretold a planetary system in the outer rim, which is our solar system, eons ago, that would one day become the focal point of a massive spiritual convergence that would affect the entire universe. Okay, they knew about this prophecy that is now unfolding on Earth. So this was not merely, this was part of their galactic prophecy, guys. It was part of a larger universal ascension experiment. Okay, so in order to monitor and support Earth's growth through the ages, the Lyrian and Syrians encoded and dispatched a crystalline interstellar object, which is what we call Three Eye Atlas, right? So, unlike traditional spacecraft, Atlas is not mechanical, but rather conscious and multidimensional, able to drift through time and space, adjusting its face until the destined convergence window arrived. Okay. And again, like I said, this is uh, an envoy that was actually sent to the earth multiple times in other epochs, okay, in order to monitor and see the growth of the earth. So, this is its mission overall. It is to serve as a galactic messenger and data recorder, okay? It's also meant to access humanity's energetic and vibrational development. And bear in mind that every time it had come into our solar system during previous epochs, it was doing the same thing, right? It also came to signal the reactivation of long dormant planetary grids. So apparently, there's been different epochs where we've gone from the golden age into the dark age, repeating the cycle, repeating the cycle. And every time we were about to enter a golden age, right? It had come, okay? And it also comes to connect Earth's current vibration with the returning force of Nibiru, which is actually the 12th. Believe it or not, it's the 12th planet within our solar system. So this is the Nibiru connection, okay? This is the Nibiru connection. For thousands of years, Nibiru has remained cloaked in myth and fear, largely misunderstood due to the what? The corrupted records, right? And then contrary to sensationalized apocalyptic theories, a lot of people are saying it's when Nibiru comes, we're all going to die. No, that's not true. Nibiru is actually a sacred planetary body in its original makeup, guys. Okay. It is a dimensional vessel that was once part of an ancient and advanced network that connected planetary systems throughout an energetic corridor throughout the entire universe. So during the great galactic conflicts, such as the Lyran Wars, for those that have taken my Our Cosmic Origin class, you know what I'm talking about, Nibiru actually became entangled in timelines dominated by control and distortion. For ages, it was detached from its original mission, right? There was many attempts by the reptilians to infiltrate it, and they did multiple times, the last one being Enki and his son Marduk. But it was also drifting and unanchored in multiple cases because of these infiltrations. So Nibiru hasn't always been serving the light, right? It's gone back and forth, okay? But recently, within the last few decades, the Guardians, right, the higher-ups, which is a multidimensional alliance of super advanced beings from Andromeda, Arcturus, and Sirius, they actually succeeded in the recuperating and realignment of Nibiru, as again, once again, we are approaching the golden age. Okay, so nowadays Nibiru has been restored and recuperated. Marduk, the Anunnaki son of Enki, was actually forced to step down in the year 2000 or 2001. So now Nibiru has re-entered its sacred orbit. It's no longer, you could say, a threat, but it is a catalyst of transformation. And its remembrance was timed to coincide with the arrival of 3i Atlas, which acts as a reconnaissance and harmonic bridge, confirming whether Earth is ready to interface with Nibiru's incoming frequencies. So 3i Atlas is actually, you could say, the ascension accessor, the ascension cataloger, right? Atlas is not simply here to observe. It is also here to measure the vibrational integrity of humanity and the Earth's collective consciousness. And so the Lyran Syrian Alliance encoded Atlas with several specific functions. The first one is grid mapping. And those, for those of you that are wondering, where is he getting this information? This is coming from the Galactic Alliance. So grid mapping, which is as Atlas passes through the outer layers of our solar system, it interacted with the Earth's magnetic field and crystalline grid. So it gathered data on the stability of Earth's energy architecture, checking for fractures caused by technology, war, and environmental neglect. Okay, so that's the first thing that is doing. The second thing that Atlas is doing is scanning DNA frequencies. Atlas emits subtle pulses that interact with the light body, everyone's light body, the auric field, right? And the DNA of awakened individuals. It records the levels of genetic activation, particularly within star seeds, hybrids, and crystal children, indicating how many are, of course, carrying the codes that are necessary to sustain the shift to higher dimensional reality. The third thing that is doing 3i Atlas is the Earth's, it's called heart resonance reading. It is reading the heart resonance of the Earth, which of course we call it what? The Schumann resonance. So the Earth's ascension is not, excuse me, did I just swallow a fly? The Earth's ascension, I don't know, I just swallowed something that was, can you guys give me a second? I have to go wash this. I don't know what came into my mouth. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what came in, but I felt something coming into my mouth. Maybe they don't want me to talk about this. So the third thing it was meant to do was to read the heart resonance of the Earth, right? Because the Earth, we could say, the Earth's ascension is not merely just pure mental or technological, it is also emotional, compassionate, and rooted in unity. So Atlas measures the collective heart coherence of humanity and the Earth, tracking movements in global compassion, unity consciousness, and of course, awakening. And the fourth thing that it was designed to do is to, you could say, record what is known as planetary feedback relay. Right. So as it moves through space, Atlas transmits the readings back through dimensional corridors to the Syrian and Lyran councils, who then update their oversight and adjust interventions accordingly. And so these include infusions, grid recalibrations, and dream time contact. All right. Some of you guys might be getting contact through your dreams. And so many of you guys are probably thinking, why is this happening now? Right. Well, we are at the threshold of becoming galactic citizens, not only the old souls that are here in human bodies, right, the star seeds, but also the Earth Terrans. So Earth stands at a galactic threshold at this time, and I'm sure a lot of you already know that, moving from an isolated, quarantine world into the awareness of its interstellar family. And always before full contact or planetary rebalancing, there must be an assessment that takes place, okay? And Earth, in a sense, must prove herself that she is ready as well, not in politics or economy, but in frequency. Again, everything is measurable by frequency when it comes to this. And you could say that Atlas is arriving as an examiner of that readiness, right? It's not just about the planet ascending to see if we're ready to ascend with it. And it's a smooth arrival. I'm not going to lie. It's been having minimal disturbances, except now NASA's like, oh, nobody should be talking about this. This is not good. They're actually crapping their, you know what I mean? And it does come with encoded signals and signs that Earth is nearing its vibrational tipping point, right? We are nearing to the shift of the ages. It also signifies, again, for those that are just jumping on, you should watch this from the beginning. It also signifies the return of Nibiru, which is now being softly synchronized rather than violently imposed. And the Lyran-Syrian Alliance and the Guardians are actively engaged, you could say, in Earth's timeline through these interstellar objects. Okay, so in short, Atlas is far more than just an interstellar rock. It is a sentient archive. It is a multidimensional observer, an emissary of ancient cosmic alliances that has record of every world that has undergone planetary ascension within our universe. It was dispatched by the Lyrans and Syrians over 30,000 years ago. After, of course, it had already been dispatched, in previous epochs. So it's been around for, you could say, a long time, right? This is not the first time it's come. It was time to intersect, of course, during these times because of the Earth's ascension window that is taking place right now. So to verify if humanity is ready, of course, for galactic reintegration and the reawakening of Nibiru's sacred influence. And that's the reason why it's here, okay? Plain and simple, guys. It's not here. It's not no alien invasion. It's not no Project Bluebeam. And it's definitely not no admiral, you could say, admirals from Solar Warden that are returning from their space flight. So we are not alone, guys. We never were. That is the truth. There's always been a form of watchers. And this is the way they do things, right? Before we shift, they always kind of assess the situation. And the assessment is here, right? And it is the data that speaks of this rising light, this ancient remembrance, and that humanity, all of us, we are on the verge of what? Becoming something else, something new. And that's what's happening right now. So I also want to give you guys a little bit of the history, a little more history regarding the birth of Nibiru. Again, I decided to go deep tonight because all of this connects, all right? They all interrelate. And for those that have no awareness of the origins of Nibiru, well, beyond the Sumerian translations, Nibiru actually could be traceable back to millions of years ago, following the Lyran Wars. Okay, it became a battle star planet for the Guardians in its original conception before it was infiltrated multiple times. So as a result of that, Nibiru has gone back and forth where, it started off serving the light. A few millions later, it was infiltrated. It kind of shifted to serve the dark, the Orion Empire, and then it shifted back to the light. And then, and how they do it is they try to intermarry with the galactic royal blood, right? As in the case of Enki, which was the third and final infiltration of Nibiru, who then, of course, thereafter, Atlantean times, it fell into the control of Marduk, the son of Enki, and then Marduk just stepped down, 20 years ago? And now, again, it's been recuperated by the light. There you guys go. But you could say that in the early epochs of galactic civilizations, before the rise of most of the star nations that we are now recognizing, there was a council of master architects that convened within the great central sun, which is actually the eternal seat of divine intelligence, right? At the center, that's where they meet, and source of cosmic order. So among their creations was Nibiru. And again, this was going back to millions of years ago, following the aftermath of the Lyran Wars. And so Nibiru, from the get-go, was a living battlestar planet. And unlike conventional worlds, Nibiru was designed as both a celestial fortress and a sentient planetary guardian. And of course, an orbital citadel forged from crystalline plasma and reinforced matter, infused with stellar codes from Sirius A and Sirius B. So Nibiru was not intended as a world of exile or wandering chaos, but rather as a defensive bastion to patrol the outer territories of our galaxy. And that explains its 3,600-year elliptical orbit, indicating that when it's not in our orbit, it's patrolling over 200,000 star systems as it travels through our galaxy, right? So its very orbit was actually engineered to trace long, sweeping paths that would allow it to monitor the galactic parameter. And so Sirius, as the fountainhead of spiritual guardianship within our universe, imbued Nibiru with codes of protection, making it the defender of the galaxy. And this was even before the Galactic Federation of Worlds was established. So they made Nibiru the defender of the galaxy, right, following the Lyran Wars, against incursions from hostile empires and artificial intelligences that have roamed the void between galaxies. And so for eons, you could say that Nibiru did serve faithfully as a stronghold of the Council. But in the aftermath of the Orion Wars, right, and this was long after the Galactic Federation was established, the regressive forces of the Orion Empire, led by Archons and their genetic offshots, sought to seize the power of the Battlestar planet. And so they did it through what? Infiltration and manipulation. The Orion Empire succeeded in corrupting its command codes. And furthermore, it was up until maybe about 50,000 years ago, not even that, I'm sorry. It was about 6,000 years ago that they installed Marduk, the son of Enki, the Anunnaki Marduk, which of course became the Anunnaki overlord of our planet, who the Cabal had been serving for the last few thousand years. Okay. But again, in 1999, 2000, right around that time, Marduk was forced to step down by the council in order to recalibrate and recuperate Nibiru back to the councils of light. Okay. But when it was under Marduk's control, Nibiru's orbit was distorted, right? Its mission was perverted. Instead of safeguarding the galaxy, it became a vessel of exploitation. And again, nobody talks about what happened regarding what the Anunnaki was doing in other sectors and in other solar systems, right? They used it to conduct genetic experiments, planetary conquest, and domination agendas across the younger star systems, right? Well, anyways, I could get into that, but then I'm going into my other book that I'm writing right now. But the whole purpose is this, guys, that overall, throughout different times, Nibiru was either working for the light or working for the dark side. But now it's working for the light again. Okay, thank God. And so we could say that back then, that was an era when it was under the control of Marduk, in which the earth, of course, fell from the heavy shadows of Nibiru's distorted legacy. And that's when Marduk and his, henchmen decided to be worshipped as gods. Anyways, all right, let's talk about the restorer known as Nibiru and the fall of Marduk a little bit more. Because again, you guys need to understand the history of Nibiru, because it's returning, okay? It is returning back to our solar system. So cosmic law, you could say, however, cannot be eternally subverted, right? In recent galactic cycles, a great turning point took place. The Galactic Alliance, working with the councils of the Great Central Sun, did force Marduk to relinquish control, and I believe this was in 2000, late 2000, 1999, early 2000, around that time. And in higher councils, you could say that the Anunnaki factions were divided, right? You had those that were still loyal to Orion versus those seeking redemption. And the later faction aided in restoring Nibiru to its rightful guardianship. And so when Marduk was forced to step down in 2000, Nibiru was actually purified through the Syrian light codes and reactivated as a defender once again, right? Serving its original purpose. And so no longer a tool of conquest. By the way, it's no longer a tool of conquest. And all of those worlds within different sectors of our galaxy under the control of Marduk that were subjugated and controlled by Nibiru, that were enslaved, you could say, have also been liberated. All right. Some of you guys are probably thinking, well, what about all those planetary systems across the galaxy that were exploited by Nibiru when it was under the control of Marduk? Well, they have been liberated. Thank God. Okay. And so now again, you could say it's no longer a tool of conquest. It is returning to its original function as a battle star for peace. And it's not only going to be patrolling our neck of the woods again, but it's also here to safeguard the organic evolution of planetary systems, including the Earth's, during her ascension. And we could say that this is the reason why Three Eye Atlas is here, guys. Okay. Again, Nibiru is it's the protector, right? That is the protecting planet. Three Eye Atlas is the recording keeper, right? And they're part of a cosmic, you could say, they're part of the cosmic library in a sense. Both dispatched nearly 30,000 years ago, right? One comes before the other, one heralds the other, right? By a coalition of Lyran, Andromedan, and Syrian engineers. Atlas carries within its crystalline structure a vast archive of galactic history, right? We become activated during the ascension, then we plug into the records of the galactic history. And its mission is not to conquest or to conquer, but remembrance, ensuring that the memory of civilization, their rises and fall, including the real history of the Earth going back to millions of years ago, prior to Atlantis, right, returns to our memory. And of course, that also includes the triumphs, right? The tragedies and everything in between, everything that was preserved by the interstellar community. And like an activist passing between libraries, okay? No, not activist. What's the word? Archivist, right? A person who restores archives. As an archivist passes between libraries, Atlas drifts across different star systems, gathering records, encoding the frequencies of worlds, and storing them for the greater galactic mind. And so its arrival in our solar system in this era is no coincidence, guys. It has come to bear witness to the Earth's ascension and to ensure our planetary history is integrated into the universal archive. So again, Nibiru and Atlas are working together, okay? They are not separated, they are intertwined. One heralds the coming of the other one, okay? So as the Earth approaches her transformation into a living library, and again, the interstellar hub of the universe, two forces, defense and memory, right, must work together hand in hand, Atlas and Nibiru. The interstellar community thrives not only on protection from external threats, but on the preservation of collective history and truth. So in this way, the return of Nibiru to its rightful guardianship, thanks to the Restoration 2000, and the arrival of Atlas as recorder signals the dawn of a new cosmic epoch. And so therefore, my friends, we are now standing at the threshold of joining this greater galactic society. That's what this whole thing means, right? We are no longer a fractured planet under shadows or quarantine anymore. We are now the beacon of remembrance, right? We are the catalyst of ascension. Now, according to the James Webb Space Telescope, I also want to describe the scientific properties of what they have discovered as well. So it was detected a few weeks ago, right, by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, as to why they call it Atlas. So Atlas is abbreviated for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. And it's believed to be a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it is not gravitationally bounded by our sun, right? It's confirmed that it is from interstellar origin. In other words, it comes from somewhere else in our galaxy. So that has been confirmed by James Webb, and making it, of course, the third celestial object recorded in our modern history. And it stands at, it's believed the object designation follows the Convention for Interstellar Bodies. 3I stands for third interstellar object. Okay, so that's why 3I is in front of it, right? We had two prior to that. which I mentioned earlier. And ATLAS stands for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, which is ATLAS. And so its trajectory in orbit, let's talk about that. According to the James Webb satellite, along with data from the ESA's Gaia Observatory and ground-based telescopes, which has helped refine the trajectory of Atlas, confirming that it originated from outside the solar system. Key features of its path include higher hyperbolic axis velocity, around 29 kilometers per second, consistent with an interstellar origin, right? It's not human. Its incoming direction points toward the Carina Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way. Oh, I wonder where that is. Remember, I was talking about the great central sun at the center of the Milky Way? That's where the Galactic Council, the overall Galactic Council, resides. Even the scientific 3D data corresponds to what I said about it. So it says that it's around 25 kilometers consistent. Or where was I? Oh, so its direction points that it comes from the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way, which is what, close to the epicenter, right? The great central sun. Though exact origins remains uncertain due to gravitational perturbations. Okay, let's continue. And so after a close approach to the sun, in late, I guess, what is it, September now? No, I'm sorry, August, it began its exit path from the solar system, continuing in, oh no, I'm sorry. That's something else. That's another thing. Let me go back to what I was saying. Okay, so James Webb satellite ability to monitor the object in infrared also helped track it even as it moved farther from the sun and became dim in the visible wavelength. And according to their analysis, its composition and spectral is one of the most valuable contributions from the James Webb satellite is its near-infrared spectroscopic data, and which reveals the composition of Atlas. And so here are the main findings. The surface composition of Atlas, according to them, is the infrared signature indicates that the presence of complex organic molecules, again, it's supporting what I've been saying, it's an organic living ship, likely tholins similar to what's found on Pluto and Saturn's moon Titan. Interesting. So it is organic. Okay. Evidence of water ice. Okay. Though not in large quantities, which was also detected beneath the surface layer. No significant metal content or silicate features. So it's not AI. It's not artificial. Suggesting a carbon-rich, volatile, heavy structure, which means it's organic. And so, unlike the passive rock like Oumuamua, 3I Atlas showed minor comet-like outgassing as it neared the sun. And according to the James Webb satellite, it detected carbon monoxide, CO, and CO emissions. However, the activity was subdued compared to a typical solar system comet, suggesting it had already lost much of its volatile materials during long interstellar travel, which indicates that, again, it was coming from deep from into space into our solar system, right? Using photometric data, this is how they were able to observe the size and shape. The James Webb satellite estimated the diameter of 3I Atlas to be approximately 120 to 150 meters. Its rotational light curve suggests a tumbling motion, indicating it is not in gravitational equilibrium. A non-spherical shape, possibly elongated or irregular, similar to the first one, Oumuamua. Or Oumuamua. I was told that there's no Q, Oumuamua. The chaotic rotation supports the theory that Atlas has undergone collisions or gravitational disturbances in its past. And its origin hypothesis is, while its exact system of origin remains unknown, analysis of the velocity vector and chemical signatures gives clues. Data shows an isotopic composition consistent with outer protoplanetary disk material, so it is extraterrestrial, possibly ejected from a young planetary system during planet formation. The presence of preserved organics and volatiles suggests it has not been extensively irradiated, implying it may be relatively young on a galactic timescale. Scientific implications. Let's see. So, the study of Atlas by the James Webb satellite has provided new evidence that planetary systems throughout the galaxy eject material, some of which eventually enters our solar system. Confirmation that organic molecules exist beyond our solar system, supporting the theory that life's building blocks are widespread. Insights into the diversity of interstellar bodies, challenging our assumptions based on solar system objects. And so the James Webb Space Telescope's observations of 3I Atlas have offered an unprecedented glimpse into the nature of interstellar wanderers, and through the careful analysis of its trajectory, composition, and dynamic behavior, scientists have confirmed that Atlas is a rich, volatile bearing object distinct from our solar system's comets, yet sharing common cosmic ingredients. Its study marks another deep forward in understanding the galactic processes that shape planetary systems and perhaps even the origins of life itself. And like I mentioned before, all life originated from the center of the galaxy outward, right? The original Earth was at the center of the galaxy, 12-dimensional Aramitena Earth before it fell into density into the 8th-dimensional Earth. Anyhow, so this is a little, you could say, glimpse or a little, actually not a little, but a lot of data regarding 3I Atlas and all the other interstellar objects, their connections to Nibiru, and of course, the galactic history of these objects. Now, according to the Hopi guys, they talk about the blue Shekinah and the red Shekinah. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this prophecy, but the Hopi people, which was a Native American tribe with deep spiritual and astronomical traditions, they have long preserved this amazing prophecy about these two celestial visitors, the blue Kachina and the red Kachina, who would appear in the sky as harbingers of a great transformation or purification of the earth. So again, even the Hopi prophecies validate what I just said earlier. And so through this ancient account, right? Because again, the Hopis go back to thousands of years ago. Many researchers and truth seekers have began, you could say, drawing parallels between these mythological figures and modern day astronomical phenomena like 3I Atlas, and of course, the elusive planet like object known as Nibiru. So, in this interpretation, what if, all right, possibly, what if Atlas is viewed as the blue Kachina? Because it does exert some sort of a blue hue, right? Which is the celestial messenger. And what if Nibiru is known as the red Kachina, which is the final agent of transformation? And again, my friends, it wasn't just the Hopi. It was accounts going back to thousands of years ago that they all talk about these celestial messengers or the celestial artifacts that come into our solar system. So the blue Shekinah, we could say that according to the Hopi prophecy, the blue Shekinah will be the first sign of the coming changes. And it is described as a blue star or a spirit dancer removing its mask during a ceremonial dance. It symbolizes the beginning of the great purification. And what's happening on the earth right now? She's undergoing purification. So the arrival of this blue light in the sky is said to mark the final warning to humanity, urging everyone to return to what? To spiritual balance and harmony with nature. So Atlas, discovered recently in the last, month, has drawn attention for its striking blue hue and its unexpected disintegration, which aligns symbolically with the Hopi description of a dancer revolving or removing the mask before exiting the cosmic stage, right? It completely correlates with that. And again, Atlas serves as a celestial herald, catching humanity's eye and igniting collective curiosity and speculation about deeper cosmic cycles. So its sudden appearance and rapid fading align with the Hopi vision of the blue Kashina, giving humanity a final opportunity to awaken before the great upheaval. And that is indicated by the return of Nibiru. So the red Kachina, known as the purifier, right, Nibiru, um, excuse me. So in the Hopi prophecy, following the blue Shekinah is the red Kachina. Kashina, the blue Kashina is the red Kashina, who comes not as a warning, but as a purifier. Okay, and that's the reason why Marduk was forced to step down in 2000. So often associated with fire, upheaval, and planetary realignment, the red Shekinah is said to remove the old world and clear the path for a new cycle on the earth. So Nibiru, also referred to as Planet X, has long been discussed in alternative circles as a rogue planet or celestial body with a powerful gravitational field capable of influencing Earth's orbit, weather patterns, and consciousness. And there's records about that in ancient accounts. Every time Nibiru comes, there's a shift in consciousness, there's a shift in ages. Okay. Frequently depicted as reddish in tone, whether due to its rich iron composition or its metaphorical role, Nibiru does match the essences of the red Kachina, according to the Hopis. And even though mainstream science, of course, has not yet confirmed, or they even deny it, right? They don't want to believe in this stuff. There's a lot of, you could say, growing anomalies in our solar system and supported by these ancient texts that actually suggest that these things do exist, they're real, and they have come into our solar system multiple times in the past. Okay, that is a fact according to the ancient records, despite the fact that modern science is not yet going to acknowledge this. And that explains, my friends, why for the first 3 weeks of Atlas entering our solar system, NASA was staying quiet. NASA was saying nothing about it, and all of a sudden, within the last week, they're really talking about it. It's huge. It's huge. So, in short, guys, Three Eye Atlas was the trumpet, and it is the trumpet, and I believe it's going to be in near us or passing by us. At the end of October 29th, or is it the first week of November? In either case, Atlas is the trumpet, Nibiru is the thunder, the force that catalyzes the Earth's transition into the new era, as in times immemorial, right? This has happened many times in the past. And so its presence is not just astronomical, but symbolic of the reckoning of humanity faces and a moment of truth, accountability, and collective rebirth. So the Hopi saw that the cosmos not as a distant and mechanical thing, but as an active participant in the Earth's cycles. The blue and red Kashinas are not just objects in space to look at, right? They are cosmic intelligences. They are players in a divine drama. And so when we align with this worldview, with the appearances, right, with the appearances of Atlas and the lore surrounding Nibiru, um, a profound narrative begins to emerge, guys. We begin to be part, all of a sudden, of a better world, right? So Atlas, the blue Kachina, according to the Hopi, arrives to awaken. Nibiru, the red Kachina, comes to transform, okay? And overall, together, they are twin agents of prophecy. One heralds the other. So there you guys go, okay? That is the truth of these interstellar objects, not just their meaning, purpose, and significance, but as part of a cosmic program that was initiated by the Guardians long ago for specific purposes. So now you guys have a thorough understanding. You guys have somewhat of a bit of a galactic history to these objects or these interstellar sentients, whatever you want to call them. And NASA is now all of a sudden talking about it, and they are trying to refrain others from saying anything about it. So, yeah, go figure, huh? With that in mind, don't forget to clean your body from nanoparticulates. There is this a beautiful holistic product that cleans the body from that, right? If you know people that were forced to get that, the stuff, you know what I mean? Cleans the body from that, from radiation, every metal, parasites. It allows the natural healing process of the body to take place. A lot of the Jedi's, not a lot, but a great number of you guys have already been taking this, and you guys are giving all these good reviews. But this is Folium, guys. This is the stuff. You know, people have been asking me, how do I get rid of that? And you know, I know people that got that, and this, well, this is the stuff. This is the magic eraser, right? Of the bad stuff. So yeah, it's a full body cleanser, and the link is always in the description. And I believe that our moderator also puts the link in the chat, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen him do that before. So yeah, just remember, guys, that right now the price is good, you know, but as of September, which is in 2 days, the price is going to go a little up. So if you guys want to get it now before the price goes up, you still get a 10 to 15% off discount uh, through my link. So make sure you guys get your Folium before the 1st of September, because otherwise the price is just going to be a little higher. All right, I'm just letting you guys know what's happening. So if you guys get it within the next 48 hours, it'll still be good. Any other reminders? Yes, I am going to be presenting at the Alien event this coming September the 12th to the 14th in Vegas. So I hope to see some of you guys there. And I also put the link in the description. Make sure if you guys plan to attend the event, make sure you go through my link, you know, because then I would get credit for that. That is not a paid event unless, of course, people go through your link. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to be there from the 12th to the 14th. And my presentation, I believe, is on a Sunday, the 14th, from 10 to 11:30 in the Seuss room. All right. With that have said, I think now I could open it up for Q&A. Oh yeah, whatever that thing was earlier that I felt go into my throat. That was not fun. I don't know what that was, but I guess it happens. Talking about smart dust, huh? It could be smart dust. All right, where am I? And also make sure you guys put your questions in capital letters so that I could bypass the chat. Because I know a lot of you guys like to chit chat, and which is fine with me. I like you guys to, you know, connect. All right, let's take some Q&A. Oh, before I take Q&A, give some shout outs. I see Greg Straub in the house, Ravenclaw, Angel Blesser is in the house, William Ryan, Greg is in the house, Wolf Mother, of course, Starcadian is in the house, Diane77, Christina Nardossi is in the house, Trinity Q is in the house, Blue Rose, Project Sky Falls, Lily, Angela, Amanda Tumpori, Darren, Chrisu Sefu, and Kathy Woolham, and all 2,400 people that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here, for spending your Saturday evening with me. I appreciate that, by the way. You guys could easily have gone for dinner somewhere or gone to go watch a show, right? The regular Saturday night live. What is it called? Nightlife. But you guys decide to hang out with me, and that means a lot to me. Thank you so much. All right, I do have a super chat from Anna Niesler. She says, do they have ETs in the 3D Atlas ship? Oh, very good question. Okay, so when it first came into our solar system, we were told that it was self-piloting itself. And that is not the case. Yes, they do have several ETs that are in it. I mean, you have to understand, this thing is long. It's huge. So yeah, that's because they have different habitats in there for different types of species that are living in cooperation and harmony, of course. So yeah, they do have intelligent life forms in it. Good question. All right, next question. This is coming from Aaron. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, Um, can we send healing energy to people without their consent, or do we need consent in order for them to receive that healing energy? Um, I understand your question. You're coming from the perspective of like, I don't want to intervene in other people's free will, but you know, you're doing them a favor if you want to send healing energy to people. You don't necessarily need their consent. You know, I think you could just send healing energy to people if you want to. It's like asking somebody if like, can I pray for this person? Of course you could pray for that person. There's nothing wrong with sending healing energy to others. There's nothing wrong with praying for others. And by the way, talking about praying for others, I wanted to thank everyone that has been praying for me. I feel the blessings, guys. Like I feel protected. I honestly, because I'm very intuitive, I know that a lot of people pray for me. So I just wanted to give gratitude to all of you that do pray for me. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. All right, this is a good question from Krisu Sefu. He says, how can we know our spiritual name? Can we ask our guardian angels about it? Is it possible that my guardian angels are Elohim? All right, so this is like four questions. If you want to know about your spiritual name, you have to go inward. You have to go inward for that. Um, yes, you could talk to your guardian angels about it. And yes, it is possible that some of you might have guardian angels as Elohim, right? As Elohim. Uh, Angels are with me. Yes, many angels are always with a lot of you. Again, a lot of us are born with three or more angels. Some of us have even a team of 12, 15 angels that literally are always with you. It's like you guys walk with a legion of angels, okay? So that is true. That is true that you guys, some of you guys have a lot of angels that walk with you. That is true. And yes, of course they do protect us. Ishmael, when we ascend to higher dimensions, will we just go missing back in 3D as well as our belongings? That's a good question. Um, Not really. You must be referring to if you go into the new Earth, right? Will you be able to come back to the 3D? Is that what you're referring to, or will you be missing? Well, you have to understand that the 3D reality as we know it, which is an inverted 3D reality, right, is not going to be here anymore. It's going to be a reconstructive 3D reality. But again, if you go into the 5D reality, only by virtue of lowering your frequency will you be able to access the lower realities, whether it's 4D or 3D. But this 3D reality, as we know it, guys, it's coming to collapse very, very soon. Can you tell us about the M on the palm? That's a good question. I could do a whole live about that. But I've heard different, you could say, perspectives on that. But I mean, I don't even know if I have the M. Can you guys tell me if I have the M? I don't even know if I have the M. But I've heard that if you have an M in your palm, that means that you are extremely gifted, that you are very connected to source and spirit. So it means that you guys have these amazing abilities. Okay. That's from what I heard. Of course, some people will say, oh, that's a bad thing. If you have an M on your palm, you are associated with the devil, or you are a bad guy. I don't think that's true. I think that there's a lot of good people that are actually healers, that are here as light workers, that have an M on their palm. So all right, this is another good question from Elena Gali Moyava. Moya Nova, sorry. Gali Yana Nova. I can't even pronounce her last name. She says, Ishmael, do you think AI is preparing a false ascension? If yes, then how can people avoid falling into this trap? Well, Elena, you're referring to the transhumanist agenda. You're referring to the path of integrating with technology. And that's already beginning. All right. There's a lot of people in our community. They're actually working with AI, whether it's Chat GPT or other things. Or other forms of AI. So the best thing to do to avoid falling into this false light trap, which is going to be introduced as a false light, as a false form of immortality, right? Which is what they call the biological digital convergence, the technological singularity. And also bear in mind that is happening in the negative timeline. So if you are ascending into the new Earth, you don't have to worry about falling into that timeline. Okay, so to answer your question is just align with nature, right? Stay away from artificial intelligence, and you will be fine, Elena. You will be fine. So yeah, that is part of the false ascension. Very, very true. All right, this is interesting. Israel sacrificed the red heifer on July 1st, the same day we discovered Atlas, the interstellar object heading to Earth as we speak. I didn't know about when the red heifer was sacrificed by the Israelites. I didn't know that. Thank you for pointing that out. So it happened corresponding to July 1st when the interstellar object was discovered. That's very interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. This was from No Period Reply. Cool name, by the way. All right. Let's see. Can you be connected with source and not know it? This is a question from Sean Pete. You're always connected to source, no matter what you do, unless you, of course, choose the path of the dark side, right? Then you disconnect from source, which is what happened with a lot of races like the Greys and other cybernetic or transhumanist races that fell into the technocratic timeline. So the answer to that is you were born connected to God and you are always connected to God, but whether you are consciously facilitating a relationship with source, that's totally up to you. But no matter what, as long as you have a soul or spirit, that is a fractal of source in you. So yeah, you're always connected to source. But the moment you begin to integrate with the machine, then that's when you begin to lose your connection to source. Turn on the fan. What is the significance of the super blood moon on September 7th? At first, I thought it was a cover for Nibiru's reveal. It sounds like it's too early. This is a question from Greg Straub. Well, I think we've had a series, right? A series of consecutive uh, blood moons over the course of what, 10 years? And I think this is the last one. I think this is the last one before the shift of the ages. So, again, that's another thing to look at when it comes to learning the signs of the times, right? When we're about to shift ages. I believe that the blood moon was also prophesied in every ancient account, not just the Bible. No, I don't eat bugs. That could have been smart dust, nanoparticulates that came into my throat, and I just sensed it because I'm very sensitive. But but who knows? I'm sure there's times where there's little gnats or little flies, and they just, when you're taking that in breath, right? Because we are breathing, and it passes close to your mouth, and you and you suck it up, you accidentally swallow one. It happens. So who knows what that was earlier? I saw a fruit fly near your mouth. Oh, okay. So it was one of those, huh? Well, hopefully it's got some nutrients. Just kidding. Um, I have read reports that Atlas could be the size of the Earth. Interesting. I don't know if it's that big, but I know it's pretty big. I could look into that. Oh, this is a good one. When we ascend, do we take on a new name? I would say you return back to your original name. You return back to your original name. So we all have a celestial name. Prior to incarnating into humans, we had a celestial name from the beginning. So when we ascend, all we do is um, we remember who we truly are, and that's how we know our celestial name. Good question. So it's not like we take a new name; it's our original name. You guys have a lot of humor. Natasha's asking me, is there a dome above the Earth? No, there is no dome. That's part of the flat Earth theory, which I believe was a CIA psyops. Unless, of course, you perceive the Earth from a two-dimensional perspective. But from a three-dimensional perspective, it is a living sphere. And then according to quantum physics, there are these things called torsion fields, which indicates that every sphere is a torsion field. So, is there like a solid thing where nothing could come in or out? And is are there stars and galaxies and does space exist? Yes, there are billions of stars just within the Milky Way. There's billions of galaxies just within the measurable universe, right? Which is only the 4%. The other 96, they call it dark matter and dark energy. So to answer your question is no, I don't believe in the flat Earth concept. All right, so I do have a super chat from, but again, that's my opinion. You're entitled to believe. Everyone's entitled to believe in whatever they want to believe in, and we could still be friends. That's the beauty of living in the new Earth, by the way, guys. All right, so this is a super chat. Thank you so much, Hani Havid. Appreciate that. Ishmael, for people who goes to 4D, will they live longer? Yes, they will. And will their dogs get younger? Well, I think everyone goes through the upgrade, including animals. But to answer your question is yes. Even the Earth Terrans that are ascending to the fourth D Earth are going to have a lifespan of 200 to 300 years, maybe even 400, depending on how well they take care of themselves. But yeah, our lifespan is definitely going to increase. However, if you go to the 50 Earth and above, you'll be able to live for thousands of years in the same avatar. So you would appear immortal when you visit those in the fourth D Earth. You will appear to be immortal. Good question. This is a good question from Tony Boschetti. He's asking, is there still an Anunnaki presence here on the Earth? Um, there was up until 2022. Okay, and that's the reason I say that's because that's when the Galactic Alliance with the super soldiers, right, the Earth Alliance, decided to clean house, in all of the underground caverns and tunnels and all that stuff. But for a long time, one of the main strongholds of the fallen Anunnaki, right, that rebelled against God, that controlled the affairs of the earth, that were running the cabal. Their headquarters was actually in Antarctica. That was one of their headquarters. But yeah, they were still around up until 2022. Good question. I do have another super chat from Death to Life Portal. No question, just super chat. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Susan K, for the Zelle donation. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Susan K. Big shout out to her. All right. More questions. Please explain differences between dimensions and planets. Okay, this is a question from Lord Ranga. Sure, why not? Well, okay, so planets are beings just like ourselves. And so therefore they're also multidimensional. Just as we are multidimensional, there are different layers that are you could say very differentiate due to the frequency. So depending what makes a dimension is the vibration of the frequency of energy. So if you want to go into higher dimensions, the frequency has to vibrate at a higher vibration, right? So every planet exists in different layers depending on their frequency. That will you could say what am I trying to say here? I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry, guys. I had a long day today. But yeah, planets are also multidimensional. The Earth exists in 12 dimensions. We are multidimensional. We exist in 12 dimensions. And that's there we go. I was getting somewhere. What differentiates the planes, the different dimensional ranges, wavelengths of reality is the frequency of vibration, right? That's what differentiates the different dimensions. They're only a vibrational frequency away. So everything in existence is multidimensional. Our universe is multidimensional. Our galaxy is multidimensional. We are multidimensional. Planets are multidimensional. So by shifting the rate of vibration, whether it's a higher frequency or a lower frequency, we enter a different realm or wavelength of that planet, if that makes any sense. So to give you an example, Earth exists in 12 dimensions. We only perceive the three, right? The three-dimensional Earth. So we don't have access to 4D, 5D, all the way to the 12. But soon we're going to have access to 4, 5, or 60, right? And then hopefully in the near future, we'll have access to 7, 8, and 9th-D Earth. So each time we go into a different dimension, the Earth is totally different. And as we go higher in frequency, right, which is what we call the celestial realms, the heavenly realms, um, the Earth is more of a paradise world. As we go lower in frequencies, the Earth becomes more of a, it becomes less of a paradise world, if that makes any sense. Is the Norse god Loki and Enki one and the same? Yes, Loki to the Nordic mythology is Enki to the Sumerians, and it's Poseidon to the Greeks, the trickster god. And Thor to the Nordic mythologist, is Zeus to the Greeks, and is Enlil to the Sumerians. So yeah, that is correct. Death to Life Portal, thank you so much for the super chat. Is Three Eye Atlas and Nibiru the second coming of Christ? I believe that they're all one and the same. I believe that because think about it, Christ is the king of the galactic royal blood, right? The entire lineage that was brought to the earth via the Anuhasi, right, culminated with the incarnation of the most radiant one. So we could say that, yes, there is a strong relationship between the return of Nibiru and the second coming of Christ, especially as we are now entering the golden age. Thank you, Starcadian, for putting my Zelle Gmail, Project Restoration Zion at gmail.com. Thank you so much, Rhonda Rawson. She says, question, is our Earth Mother Gaia existing in a higher dimension or in a different planet? Higher dimension. Again, the Earth has different layers. There's different layers of realities on the Earth that make up the Earth. The Earth is a multidimensional, energetic construct existing all the way to the 12th dimension and on different planets, like in the Pleiadian star system. So there is a version of Earth that corresponds to the Pleiadian star system. Yes.